Good evening, thank you for joining me. Welcome to Camnet TV Main News. My name is Precious Mzeya Sakaleji. The headlines. Poor voter education by Electoral Commission of Zambia may result in many rejected ballots, charges FODEP. The Socialist Party cautions politicians against blackmailing the poor with prayer. United Party for National Development ponders on suing Electoral Commission of Zambia. In international news, dozens of bodies found in the river between Ethiopia's Tigray, Sudan. And in sports, KASHALA worries for CHIPOLOPOLO. Join me with the main news in detail after this commercial.
Are you a small to medium enterprise looking to advertise your products and services within your community and across Zambia? In these economic times, we are here to help you grow your business. Advertise with us on Camnet Market. Camnet Market is offering lower rates for prime time advertising between 06 to 18 hours every day to give your business an edge under the new normal and beyond. For more details, contact us on the following numbers: 097 975 3010 or 096 296 5883, as well as 096 244 726. You can also reach us via email on info@camnettvafrica.com. Camnet TV, not just another channel.
And now the main news in detail. Some parents of Lusaka are still skeptical about the reopening of schools for examination classes and grade 10 on the 5th of August, announced by government. Earlier this week, government announced this development, which parents feel schools at all grades should have been opened after the country's general election. A check on selected schools found the turnout of pupils low.
Thursday, August 5th, 2021. is the day set for the reopening of schools for selected grades across the country. As expected by some, this day comes with mixed feelings by some parents. It is observed that majority of pupils could not report for school due to various reasons. Parents share their reasons to why they opted to shun away from sending their children to school, saying they do not understand the decision by government, hence pupils staying back regardless the grades.
Who does that? Abruptly, you can imagine your son is somewhere very far in the boarding school. And then from nowhere, where do you get the money from? And then this is towards the elections. You know what does that mean? My elections it's better if you have Peter first, Mama, and all peace. Because I papa didn't come and already that you have got a plan. What's more? Can you come over like comment and no
my school kuseguli labana first my election ya piti ndaba lina ngobana kungapezeke futi kairi vochiti ka futi stinga zeva mine mvinga nkhalipa so mwane bankhalira so chape bangankhale kali ni next week madezi yasira kudala so ngati vapita and then wiki yokonkapo ngepa ni bangaseguliri.
To some, it is just a lack of knowledge. They only know of 16th August as the official date.
So bangasi wa parent waledi na 5 I was here for 5 getting is ngereko. Never be any about 16 but I was also grade 9 to 11.
Parents have since called on government to give proper directions on such decisions going forward. Alex Shimba, Camnet News, Lusaka.
Goodwill Ambassador for People Living with Disabilities, Professor Elijah Ngwale, has expressed disappointment with the Electoral Commission of Zambia's failure to adequately sensitize visually impaired persons across the country. Professor Ngwale says the Commission has not provided much incentives aside from Braille's brackets for people who are partially blind, and he wonders how they are going to vote without the required information come August 12, 2021. Meanwhile, earlier, the Library for the Visually Impaired Director, Kashi Chisambi, revealed that in this year's election, the country expects more participation in voting among visually impaired persons due to the transcribing process of all electoral information for the blind by the Electoral Commission of Zambia across the country.
Here, we have been printing all the electoral information by Electoral Commission, and they will be delivering to the blind people wherever the polling stations are, so that the blind people are reading. We thank them. We thank all the people that are encouraging ECZ, who are helping them with the money, so that in the expenditure of the money, they include blind people.
Mr. Keshi Chisambi is the director for the Library Visually Impaired, who earlier reviewed the project by the Electoral Commission of Zambia, ETHIOPIA'S, through the library to transcribe all electoral information into Braille for those with low or no vision as to facilitate sensitization. According to him, the information has reached the intended targets across the country. To the contrary, the Goodwill Ambassador for People Living with Disabilities, Professor Elijah Ngwale, has expressed disappointment with the Electoral Commission of Zambia's failure to adequately sensitize visually impaired persons across the country.
Very little has been done, if any, by ECZ. There's no program on sensitization, on jacket, Braille jacket, or jacket Braille, whatever you call it. You cannot regard that as a sensitization program. That's the tool you are getting. That's the tool which the persons with blind persons are supposed to use during the elections. And even the jacket itself, the jacket, it has not been exposed to blind persons. That's why we blind persons say, sing. Braille jacket muno muzambia na ena ni kalilo kuliwa ECZ. It's just a kalilo for them. It's nothing for us persons with blind persons, but they have not exposed to them. They have not exposed to. They have not been exposed to them. Nothing at all.
Professor Ngwale has recounted the initial proposal that was submitted to the ECZ 2 years ago.
In dealing with issues of persons with disabilities at ECZ. And one of the things we recommended was that there was supposed to be a comprehensive program from 2016 after elections to 2021 for persons with disabilities, but that one has not been put in place. So without taking much of your time, no voting procedures, no facilities and materials appropriate for and acceptable for persons with disabilities, including the deaf, including the blind, have been put in place.
All eligible citizens who on the 12th August head to the polls and exercise their right to vote. The question is, how then is one expected to rightfully vote when necessary electorate education is not put in place? Alex Shimba, Camnet News, Lusaka.
Stakeholders have objected the introduction and use of the biometric system in the forthcoming August 12th election for the reason that the decision has not been well received by stakeholders, including political parties, thus laying grounds for possible disputes. This is despite them acknowledging that the introduction of the biometric system in the electoral system aims to enhance efficiency and integrity, among other things. Some civil society organizations have recommended that the Commission should have considered suspending the use of the biometric system in this year's election to enable further consultation and consensus building with and among stakeholders. They add that biometric system has never been tested in Zambia before, and using it in such a heavily contested election without due diligence would be problematic. Reading the statement on behalf of other organizations, Youth Development Organization Executive Director Partner Siyabutuba says it would have been better if the ECZ had first tried the system in a by-election as opposed to a general election.
The introduction of the biometric system in the electoral system aims to enhance efficiency and integrity, among other things. While we have nothing against the biometric system, it's our considered view that the manner in which this system has been introduced undermines the very purpose it seeks to achieve. Whereas consensus building among stakeholders is and should be the basis for electoral integrity and a prerequisite for avoiding electoral disputes, this is not the case with the biometric system that ETHIOPIA is intending to implement in the coming elections. In view of the above, we wish to express serious reservations over the introduction and use of the biometric system in the forthcoming August 12 elections, for the reason that the decision has not been well received by primary stakeholders, including political parties, laying grounds for possible disputes. Further, we recommend that the Commission should consider suspending the use of biometric system in this year's election to enable further consultation and consensus building with and among stakeholders. We reiterate that the credibility of an election hinges on the consensus of the stakeholders, the absence of which leads to electoral disputes.
The Foundation for Democratic Process has expressed disappointment that the Electoral Commission of Zambia's available voter education material has only been made available a few days to polling day. FODEP Executive Director George Chimembe says voter education in the August 12 general election has been poor, hence that may lead to a high number of rejected ballots. And Mr. Chimembe is of the view that voter education should have been printed locally, as the country has the capacity to do so. He says during the 2026 general election, ballot papers and voter education materials should be printed by the government printers.
Voter education is important in the electoral process, as it enables every vote to be counted, as citizens will be able to mark the ballot papers correctly. However, there has been concerns that the Electoral Commission of Zambia has not done enough to ensure that people are informed on the voting process. Rich and informative materials have been provided by the Electoral Commission of Zambia. However, stakeholders say it is too little too late to distribute all the informative materials across the country so that people can be informed on the various processes surrounding the electoral process, especially voting. I caught up with the Foundation for Democratic Process, FODEP, to find out their views on this matter.
By now, we should have had these, voter education materials, out there. But I'll tell you that, and I even want to show you in here, they brought these things, and they are marooned here, and Mr. Soka, I want us to go there so that you put those things on camera. They are here. They were brought, and we only have a few days, a few days before the poll day. And here is, of course, it's a good thing that they are engaging us, but it has come rather too late, We don't think that most of the materials that they brought will be taken to the provinces, to the districts. I think the timing was wrong, but also it's just a decision that they had to take to contract that printer from Dubai. I think that should have been done locally. And I think going forward, we should even desist or discourage and even stop printing ballot papers from outside. We need to do the next 5 years. Let's work on the government printer so that we can, modernize it so that it can meet the emerging needs of how to print these, ballot papers.
Mr. Chimembe is also of the view that the printing of such materials should be done locally to avoid spending huge sums of money across borders.
I'm also disappointed with ECZ that, look, they went to Dubai, to print voter education materials, and I think we are very, very disturbed with what happened, very disappointed. Because why should we not empower, local printers, local companies, even, our own government printers? Those are the ones that should have done that particular assignment. And by now, we should have had these, voter education materials, out there. But I'll tell you that, and I even want to show you in here, they brought these things, and they are marooned here.
Patrick Soko, Camnet News in Lusaka.
A consortium of civil society organizations has implored political parties to uphold their commitment to the Youth and Women Manifesto. The opposition United Party for National Development has become the latest political party to sign the Youth and Women Manifesto, being spearheaded by non-state actors. Speaking on behalf of other organizations, Zambia National Women's Lobby Executive Director Juliet Chivuta says they want political parties to work on the economy, which translates in women and youth empowerment. And UPND Secretary General Batuke Imenda affirmed the party's resolve to accommodate women and young people in the development agenda by recommendations from stakeholders.
Various youths and women organizations have continued in their quest to compel political parties to endorse the Youth and Women Manifesto. The latest to endorse the document was the opposition United Party for National Development, UPND. Zambia National Women's Lobby Group Executive Director Juliet Chivuta spoke on behalf of various organizations behind the manifesto, urging the political party to work on the economy, which she said is critical to women and youth empowerment.
One of the countries that have the best gender equality laws, but then when it comes to implementation, things have been moving slow. So our core as a women's movement is to ensure that we have more women in leadership, we have more women in governance. Then the other issue is the issue of facilitation of the public function participation, prioritization of the social and political inclusion, and also the stronger focus on the elimination of gender-based violence.
A youth organization also shared its views during the signing ceremony.
In terms of governance, this manifesto is running under the theme, there can be nothing for the young people without the young people themselves. I think for a long time now, young people have been discussed on the table without them being called to discuss those issues on the table. And we believe that the issues that are being discussed on the table without the young people being there are missing the key issues that the young people want. So under the governance pillar, like the mission of SILA is, our key issue is to improve the participation of young people in the governance process.
UPND Party Secretary General Batuke Imenda signed on behalf of Party President Hakainde Hichilema and affirmed the party's resolve to steer the youth and women agenda.
Let me, at this point in time, recognize and applaud the various organizations who worked hard to come up with the Youth and the Women Manifesto Initiative. President Hakainde Hichilema and the UPND are ready and willing to listen to the youth and the women on their concerns and agenda. We shall incorporate ideas contained in these manifestos in our implementation programs.
Political parties will be held accountable for the commitments they continue to make prior to the polling day. Patrick Soko, Camnet News in Lusaka.
Meanwhile, the opposition United Party for National Development says it is suing the Electoral Commission of Zambia for allegedly unfair management of the electoral process. UPND Secretary General Batuke Imenda says they have been informed that the ECZ plans to suspend the party in Kanyama and Ikelengi districts. Mr. Imenda is equally saddened that the party is being hindered from campaigning while the governing Patriotic Front on the other side is busy campaigning. He has advised the police against taking the responsibility of the electoral body of managing the election.
Our reaction is that we are suing ETHIOPIA. As of today, we have taken ETHIOPIA to court. We'll take them on. We'll take them on. The courts of law will have their say in this matter. The court of law will have their say in this matter. We'll take them on. History will judge the ETHIOPIA harshly. History will judge ETHIOPIA in the current crop. Some policemen that are busy harassing people. We know we have a good number of very good policemen. Very good number of good policemen that whose rights we are fighting for right now. We are going through this harassment to improve on the lives of the policemen.
It is on the chief. Whilst in Munonga, the police appeared and they started tear gassing them. And they scampered. The members that were in Tuareg started scampering. But they managed to get 10 from that group and they drove them to Ncherenge. As I'm speaking to you now, those 10 are detained. And the VP is there trying to get them out. Others went the other way. So this is what.
In other news, former National Democratic Congress leader Chishimba Kambwili has charged that the assertion by some people that the Patriotic Front government has turned Zambia into one of the poorest countries globally is unfair. In an interview with Camnet TV, Dr. Kambwili notes that the Patriotic Front administration has reformed beyond expectation despite having faced certain challenges while trying to implement development projects. Meanwhile, Dr. Kambwili has compared the country's development to that of China, adding that if it took China 30 years to develop as a country, Zambia equally can't develop in only 10 years' time. He has since called on well-meaning Zambians to pledge their support towards the Patriotic Front, adding that it is the only party that has the best interest of the Zambian people.
Strictly speaking, PF has performed beyond expectation. Yes, there are a lot of challenges that need to be sorted out. But to say that the PF has failed, no, that is really being unfair. That is really being unfair. Because the PF has transformed this country. And like I've always said, you have to anchor developmental projects on certain fundamentals. And the fundamental of developing a country is infrastructure development. There is no way you can develop without infrastructure. The PF has done the infrastructure. Now what remains is to roll out the industries, to roll out the farming, so that now you can create jobs and start counting yourselves as a developed country. And in doing this, you can't do it within 10 years, really. It took China 30 years to develop to where they are. How do you expect PF to develop in 10 years? So I think those who are saying PF has failed is not correct.
Patriotic Front Msanzala parliamentary candidate Elias Daka has advised the youths countrywide, particularly in Msanzala Eastern Province, to canvass for voters in a peaceful manner. In an interview with Camnet TV, Mr. Daka explains that the ground is fertile awaiting poll day. He adds that with only a few days to the election, there is need for the youths, who are the majority, to desist any temptation of fighting other political opponents. The aspiring leader says people should instead choose leaders based on what development they have endured to undertake once given the mandate and not the most violent.
And to our youth, my encouragement is that let's maintain peace and let's do our last canvassing for votes in a very peaceful and respective manner, because this election we have already won. So our competitors will just want to provoke us so that we make mistakes and then they take advantage of that by petitioning us or by refusing to accept the results. So far so good, like from Sanzara we have not experienced any violence, and I urge all our youth, particularly those from PF, to maintain peace and order. Let's avoid to be used as political tools for others to win or to get advantage of the other person.
The Socialist Party of Zambia has cautioned politicians blackmailing poor citizens with prayer at the expense of facilitating tangible development. Socialist Party presidential candidate Fred Membe says prayer is nothing without effort. Dr. Membe is saddened over the high levels of income inequalities in the country, where the gap between the rich and the poor continues to widen. He says the Socialist Party wants to get in the mining and agriculture sector in order to safeguard all Zambians.
Zambia's Gini coefficient indicates that the gap between the rich and the poor in the country is widening and currently stands at 0.735 according to latest data from the World Bank. This means that the country has been listed as one of the poorest in the world, where a majority of the population can hardly afford to eat 3 decent meals in a day. The Socialist Party states that there is need to deal with the high cost of living in the country, as the rising inflation levels have been reflected in an increase of commodity prices, thereby making most goods beyond the reach of many citizens. Socialist Party President Dr. Fred Membe was speaking Thursday during a virtual rally. He has also charged that while prayer may be important, action on the problem must follow, as God has given man knowledge to solve his own problems.
So the poor are paying more and more for everything. They are paying more and more for carpenter, they are paying more and more for meal, they are paying more and more for meat. For a chicken, they can't go and buy the whole chicken, they have to buy a chicken, pieces of chicken.
For cooking oil.
For cooking oil, they have to buy at a high price. So the poor are paying more for everything. It's not just about, praying. In this country today, every little thing that we lack, what we have failed, let's go and have a prayer day. You have no food, let's go and pray. Jesus didn't do that. What did Jesus do when the multitude was hungry?
He asked it to be given something. He asked it for bread, he asked it for fish. You have to give something for that, what you have given, to be blessed. That's how miracles work.
Yes.
Zambia.
The Socialist Party leader has further shunned the use of ordinary fertilizers in agriculture, stating that these are harmful to humans' health and the environment, further encouraging the embracing of organic farming.
Food produced with fertilizers,
they go organic.
They go organic. The rich are no longer eating fertilizer foods.
They know there's something wrong with it. They know this is destroying the soils.
They are not producing it for human consumption, they are producing it for profit. They don't care what happens to that human being. Let them eat the junk food, the poor food. As long as we make money, they don't care.
And the Socialist Party,
they themselves who are producing that food,
let them eat it. The Socialist Party is walking the talk. It is saying we have to go organic.
He also adds that it is unrealistic to believe that Zambia can fully run its own mines, as it does not have the capacity. Dr. Membe has instead suggested that the country can instead maximize on taxes from the sector.
They were not designed to be run by us. They are not our mines. If we take them over, we will not be able to run them. The supply chains are complicated. Moreover, it's only 1/3 of our mining potential that is under exploitation. We still have 2/3 to exploit. We will leave these mines under their current ownership, but we will make sure that we collect fair taxes from them. And also we'll make sure that our few people are getting jobs there. They get decent jobs, they get decent pay, they get decent conditions.
To collect fair taxes.
Political parties are competing on ideas as the 12th August 2021 elections approach. Zipporah Mushala, Camnet News, Lusaka.
United Party for National Development leader Hakainde Hichilema has agreed with Economic Equity Party leader Chief Tayali to have the Lusaka High Court enter a consent judgment in a matter he was sued by the latter for defamation. In this case, Mr. Hichilema is demanding 100 million kwacha as damage for liable for alleging that he corruptly benefited from the privatization exercise by stealing public assets and stripped citizens of their benefits. According to an application filed before the Lusaka High Court, the two now want the court to enter a consent judgment in favor of Mr. Hichilema on specific commands that he restricts and apologizes for the defamatory remarks.
Look at the issues that Mr. Hakainde Hichilema has brought out. He's being very careful in the way that he's responding. If you are not naive, you can actually see the guilt in Mr. Hakainde Hichilema.
After boasting of being the new kid on the block, looks like Mr. Tayali, the leader of Economic and Equity Party, can no longer contain the pressure of the illegal action taken against him by UPND leader Hakainde Hichilema, now strike a deal to have the matter he has been sued for defamation be settled by him and the plaintiff. Mr. Tayali, who seems to have been saved by the bail, has now agreed with Mr. Hichilema to have the court enter consent judgment in the case. Zambia's largest opposition leader, Hakainde Hichilema, last year dragged Mr. Tayali to the Lusaka High Court demanding about 100 million kwacha as damages for libel for alleging that he corruptly benefited from the privatization exercise by stealing public assets and stripping citizens of their benefits. In this case, Mr. Hichilema is seeking an interim and permanent injunction restraining Mr. Tayali, his servant or agent, from further publishing or causing to be published or broadcast the defamatory words or anything similar against him. On the 15th of November 2020, Mr. Tayali, during a press briefing, accused Mr. Hichilema as a transactional advisor to the MMD government during the privatization exercise of stealing, among other assets, a house in Charleston belonging to Zamiko and depriving a Mr. Jerry, the said property as sitting tenant and former employee of the said company.
The people that were given the responsibility to liquidate Zimco are his friends. I want to make sure that all those people that Mr. Hakainde Hichilema worked with, they will also be brought to book. UPND, start looking for another candidate.
But according to an application filed in the Lusaka High Court, Mr. Hichilema and Mr. Tayali now wants the court to enter a consent judgment in favor of the UPND leader on specific terms that he retracts and apologizes for the defamatory remarks he made against Mr. Hichilema on the 15th of November 2020. Further, Mr. Tayali must render a written apology on his Facebook page within 48 hours after the execution of the consent. Miriam Kemba, reporting for Camnet TV News.
Trade Kings Group Companies has dragged its sales representative to court for allegedly stealing more than 151,000 kwacha from it. This is in a case in which Joshua Kalunga, a resident of Lusaka and a sales representative at Trade Kings, stands charged with one count of theft by servant contrary to Section 272 and 278 of the Penal Code Chapter 87 of the Laws of Zambia. Particular of the offence alleged that Kalunga on the 26th of June 2021 in Lusaka, while being employed as a sales representative by Trade Kings Group of Companies, stole 151,789 kwacha, the property of the said employer. And when the matter came up Thursday morning before Magistrate Jennifer Walia for allocation and plea, the accused, who is currently on police bond, was not present before court. Matter comes on the 9th of August for plea. You're watching Camnet TV Main News. We've taken our first set of commercials. We'll be back with more news after this.
On August 12th, we have a choice to make. Perhaps the most important choice in our country's history. One option is to stick with this government. and keep things how they are. But after 10 years, we all know what this will mean. More unemployment, more empty plates, more empty pockets. But yet, alternatively, we can embrace change. Change that will create jobs, reduce prices, and more importantly, put food on our tables. Change that will restore hope and move Zambia forward. Sometimes, politics can feel complicated, but this choice could not be clearer. Change for a better life, or 5 more years like the last 10. On August 12th, the choice is yours. The future of your family, the future of our country is in your hands.
Nkumbula International Airport, located just 15 kilometers from the Victoria Falls, is now one of the best and busiest airports that Zambia has. Vote for Edgar Chagwa Lungu and the PF that have brought you change.
From time immemorial, we have had different types of lighting options, from those that can burn down our investments in minutes to those that dig holes in our pockets due to constant replacement and huge consumption of our ZESCO units. Savenda Electric introduces the new and advanced electric bulb with cutting-edge technology of LED that has low power consumption, gives out bright white light, and lasts up to 25,000 hours. Savenda Electric manufactures all types of LED light, like plastic LED fluorescent tubes, down lights, ceiling lights, outdoor fittings, and solar street lights made to customer specifications. Let's live on the bright side of life by choosing the wide range of Savenda electric lighting solutions that are available in all leading stores and supermarkets countrywide. For orders, call 0962 642 490 or email jnbunda@savenda.com or pchabula@savenda.com.
Your skin is the biggest muscle in your body. That's why we make sure that Oracle is #1 when it comes to taking care of your precious skin. Oracle Pure Petroleum Jelly and Glycerin soothes, moisturizes, and keeps your skin perfect. Oracle Pure Petroleum products for that perfect skin.
At Master Signs, our services range from outdoor, indoor signage such as billboards, banners, 3D light boxes, pylons, and neon signs. We are located at plot number 397A, Makeni Road, Lusaka, at Oryx Filling Station. For more details, call us on +260 967 100 090 or +260 966 999 981, or better still, email us at infomastersign@gmail.com. Master Sign, we will make it shine.
Are you a small to medium enterprise looking to advertise your products and services within your community and across Zambia? In these economic times, we are here to help you grow your business. Advertise with us on Camnet Market. Camnet Market is offering lower rates for prime time advertising between 06 to 18 hours every day to give your business an edge under the new normal and beyond. For more details, contact us on the following numbers: 097 975 3010 or 096 296 5883, as well as 096 244 726. You can also reach us via email on info@camnettvafrica.com. Camnet TV, not just another channel.
Welcome back. We continue with the main news. A consortium of nutrition-based organizations has called on the Ministry of Health and other relevant government departments to pay extra attention to the activities of private sector companies manufacturing beverages, stating that most of them are abrogating the Food Safety Act. Representing the organization, Civil Society for Scaling Up Nutrition CSO SUDAN Country Coordinator, Mr. Matthews Muhuru, says the consortium has noticed with concern a newly manufactured beverage known as Seashort 500 by a non-company, which represents the beverage as a vitamin C drink. Mr. Muhuru says while the label states the above, lab tests conducted by the organizations show that it does not meet the standard of vitamin C, as it contains high energy and sugar levels. Meanwhile, Camnet News got in contact with the manufacturers of the drink.
A group of nutrition advocates comprising the Civil Society for Scaling Up Nutrition (SUDAN), the World Food Programme, and the Nutrition Association of Zambia have raised concerns over the standards of some beverages in the country being sold to the public. SUDAN Country Coordinator Mr. Matthews Muhuru, who was speaking on behalf of the organizations, narrates that after conducting separate lab tests, the organizations have noted with concern a newly manufactured beverage by Trade Kings named Seashort 500, which is being advertised as a vitamin C drink. Mr. Muhuru, however, says this drink does not meet the standards of a vitamin C drink, as it has high sugar and energy levels. He has also noted what he terms as abrogations to the Food Safety Act No. 7 of 2019, Article 14A and B, which state that a person shall not advertise any food as treatment, preventative, or cure for a disease, disorder, or abnormality. Among other things, the beverage stipulates that it improves and maintains overall physical health, protects against the harmful effects of stress, and is ideal in boosting immune system function, thereby minimizing people's risk of catching a cold or flu.
If you look at the beverage industry, where beverages that are very, very high in sugar are being marketed and being promoted as healthy beverages. So just the beverage in question that we're talking about now, like the Seashort 500. So if just a quick analysis of this drink, by nutritionists and dietitians, has indicated that this drink contains about 7 teaspoons of sugar, and the amount of energy that is in the drink is equivalent to a whole lump of shima. So already, if consumers are consuming such kind of beverages, look at a woman, for example, whose daily intake for sugar that is recommended is about 6 teaspoons a day, and you are consuming a beverage that is high in sugar, over 7 teaspoons of sugar by 35 grams. So this becomes a very negative thing, because at the end of the day you have escalating numbers of non-communicable diseases that we are also trying to avoid.
Camnet News contacted Trade King's Public Relations Manager Bridget Kabombe, who states that the beverage has been approved by the Zambia Medicines Regulatory Agency ZAMRA, and that the complaining organizations would be engaged.
Because I'm sure you know that all products, Seashort is not one of the first products that we've created. And when we create, we go through all formal process, including ZAMRA and ZAMRA.
Camnet News took a step further to contact ZAMRA Senior Public Relations Manager Ms. Christabel Mutale, who expressed ignorance over the beverage, but promised to have the matter investigated into.
So unless you send the picture, they may be saying we're approved when we're not even aware because of the criticism that has come about. So just share with me the picture, then I'll be able to let you know.
Zipporah Mushala, Camnet News, Lusaka.
Ministry of Health says children are also possible transmitters of COVID-19 because the virus affects everyone. Disclosing this in a media briefing, Ministry of Health Permanent Secretary Technical Services Dr. Kennedy Malama says children can carry the virus without showing any symptoms.
While COVID-19 is naturally gentle in children, the pandemic could have long-lasting impacts on society's youngest members. With childcare programs closed and social distancing measures in place, many children are missing out on opportunities for development. For children, a delay in social skills may not be the only importance of the pandemic. As many parents undergoing financial stress, children face higher rates of housing and food insecurity. Ministry of Health Permanent Secretary Technical Services Dr. Kennedy Malama says children are also possible transmitters of COVID-19 because the virus affects everyone.
We say COVID-19 can affect anyone. Children are special. One, yes, you are right. In terms of disease burden, we've seen that children have relatively been spared, not 100%, but relatively spared to death. But children become important because they can carry an infection, they can carry the virus, they will not show the symptoms, but they will pass it on to their mbuya, who is elderly, and who may not be strong enough and get COVID-19 and may die. They may pass it on to their parents.
The Permanent Secretary says children must be kept safe from COVID-19.
Underlying conditions or may not have underlying conditions, they may not have strong immunity, and they may succumb to COVID-19. So when you say what advice do we give to the public, it's all of us. Children, adults, the elderly, we need to adhere to the 5 golden rules. And those who are eligible and they are willing to be vaccinated, get vaccinated very quickly. Because when you get vaccinated, you get extra protection.
COVID-19 is usually gentle in children, presenting as a mild flu or nothing at all. Blessings Takwila, Camnet News, Lusaka.
A Lusaka-based street vendor selling clothes and other commodities says his business is experiencing setbacks because of COVID-19, hence making it almost impossible for people to buy his products. In an interview with Camnet News, Peter Kaplanga says he has to convince consumers to buy his products, unlike before when people would stop by out of their own free will.
Zambia is experiencing a large demographic shift and is one of the world's youngest countries by average age. Its population is estimated at about 17.9 million and is growing rapidly at 2.8% per year. A country that is highly dominated by entrepreneurs categorized as informal workers. That said, a Lusaka vendor, Mr. Peter Kaplanga, selling clothes, sunglasses, and other products, has lamented how hard it has been for him to sell his products in this pandemic time. Mr. Kaplanga says he's forced to convince customers to buy his products.
But amalosi tipezako chikuya kuchiuka vechintu pali 20 kwacha customer kakwera zapapatira parasta zagura pali 15 kwacha so nyoko sako
Zambia is ranked amongst the countries with the highest levels of poverty and inequality globally, according to the World Bank. Blessings Takwila, Camnet News, Lusaka.
The Zambia National Men's Network for Gender and Development has called for gender-based violence education to be included in the school curriculum so as to sensitize people against this vice from a young age. Organization National Coordinator Mr. Nelson Banda says this will create more awareness on the dangers of the GBV in the young generation and help to combat the vice.
You know, the schools will actually be better placed to have part of the syllabus to include gender education, reproductive health education, so that the young ones know right from the beginning. In fact, if we have such a curriculum, okay, we will be actually helping the school to reduce cases of gender-related indiscipline, okay, because the pupils or the students will actually pick it from, it will be part of their curriculum, okay, and then, like I said, it will actually help a lot of situations, help the Zambia police to reduce the cases of gender-based violence or statistics, okay, and then if we have, you know, everyone on board, it means we are reducing incidents of sexual offences in the country and build a cadre of young people, of men that will actually be responsible enough to respect women and girls. But also, we are also going to encourage men to talk about violations against men, because if the curriculum includes sexual and reproductive health, gender-based violence. A lot of men will actually come out in the open to share what they are going through.
We take our second set of commercials. Coming next is international and sports news.
In this fast-paced era of industrial boom and population growth, there is need to invest in smart ways of managing electricity and water consumption and reducing utility billing costs associated with the postpaid billing system. At Savenda Electronics, we manufacture right here in Zambia different types of high-quality smart electricity and water meters to customer specifications. Savenda Electronics water and electricity meters help you monitor your usage and gives notifications such as low units, tampering, low battery, and many other features. These easy-to-use meters makes it easier to buy units even in these COVID times and top up just from the comfort of your space. Favorable contract terms are available to both electricity and water utilities. For more details, get in touch with us on the following numbers: 0956 580 349 or 0977 498 318. Savenda Electronics, the real deal.
Good day to you, our dear esteemed customers. As Zamtel, we're glad to bring something of excitement to you, and it's a promotion we've dubbed YATU, which simply means it's yours. And in this promotion, we're giving benefits that are tailored to you specifically as a customer, depending on the profile or the segment that you're sitting on as a customer. And in this promotion, we are saying you will get from as low as 13 benefits amounting to over 500%, and it's all for you so that you get more benefits. So to know more about YATU, stay on.
YATU is a promotion that offers Zamtel customers amazing benefits that are made just for you. Zamtel customers will get amazing benefits of over 500% bonus back the value that they use when they subscribe to a YATU offer. YATU benefits will be usable for Zamtel to Zamtel calls, Zamtel to Zamtel SMSs, and browsing on pay-as-you-go defined rates. For you to access the amazing YATU offers, all you have to do is dial *335# and select option 1 to purchase the offer that best suits you. Zamtel customers will have the ability to actually purchase the YATU benefit more than once. So this means you can purchase the offer twice, you can purchase the offer 3 times, and the benefits will be accumulative at the end of the day. YATU benefits will be able to be redeemed if you subscribe to the same offer within a 5-day period. So if you have unused benefits from the previous day and the expiry date comes, you can still subscribe to the same offer within 5 days and your benefits will be able to accumulate. How amazing is that? For you to check your YATU benefit balance, all you have to do is dial *335# and select option 2 and you'll be able to see your current balance.
For too long, Zambian people have endured tough times, high levels of unemployment, lack of freedom, ever-increasing cost of living, poor health facilities, corruption, and injustice. Time and time again, we have been promised a better tomorrow, but things are only getting tougher. My fellow Zambians, someone is listening. Every outcry, every obstacle and pain brought by the trials and tribulations you're facing, he is listening. A leader with a heart for the people of Zambia. Only he can fix what is broken. A leader who stands for unity and prosperity across all ethnic, religious, and gender considerations to live in harmony in a free and democratic society. Change is coming. Change that will restore the country and build it from the ground up. Let's make impactful change by voting Hakainde Ichilema.
Africa is rising to a new dawn of integrity and accountability. Are you tired of being swindled or buying fake or illegal properties? Would you like to sell or buy genuine property? Would you like to list your property on both local and international market. Don't waste your time. Call the professionals, the SGK Properties on +260 762 166 018. SGK Properties. Your business assurance is our priority.
Welcome back. Now getting into our international item. Dozens of bodies of Ethiopians from the war-torn Tigray region are being buried in eastern Sudan. The bodies, some with gunshot wounds, were washed up on the banks of the Set River, known in Ethiopia as the Tigray, which runs along Ethiopia's border with Eritrea before crossing into Sudan. Still in international news, a day of solemn memorial in Lebanon has turned into protest as people marked a year since a huge explosion at Beirut's port. The explosion killed more than 200 people and left thousands injured or homeless. Angry protesters scuffled with riot police in central Beirut on Wednesday as the demonstrators tried to storm the parliament. Riot police responded by firing tear gas and water cannon and beating demonstrators with batons. The country is still waiting for answers while the state has been in political and economic chaos. Here is a roundup.
For almost a week now, Gebretensai Gebrekorostos, an Ethiopian farmer in Sudan's eastern KASHALA state, has been playing the role of gravedigger. The banks of the Setate River that flows between the two countries has been carrying the bodies of Ethiopians he says are from Humera in Tigray, where a conflict has been raging for nearly a year now.
We were called in about 5 days back when the first bodies started appearing. Since then, we've been burying people nearly daily. Most come with their hands tied behind their backs. Some had gunshots wounds in the head, others in the back. We buried more than 40 so far.
The bodies were found at the end of last week, a few days after dozens of new refugees from Tigray arrived at a reception center in KASHALA. Humera, near the border with Sudan, is one of the few areas still under the control of the Ethiopian government and Amhara militias. But the Tigrayan defense forces took over the capital, Mekelle, and other major cities weeks ago. Some of the new arrivals say they witnessed hundreds trying to escape Humera and were killed and thrown into the river. Legacy says he was part of the group that found some of the bodies and buried them.
We were told by refugees that people were being killed and thrown in the river. Then we found the bodies, hands tied behind their back, some shot in the chest, some in the head. We knew they were Tigrayans from Humera.
Most of the graves were dug just meters from the river. There are several burial sites like this one along the Setate River, each with different numbers of bodies. But people here in Wad el-Hilew say not all those found in the river were pulled out. And while the bodies of those who died trying to escape Tigray are buried here, there are reports of similar graves in the region where the death toll is unknown. Since the start of the conflict in November last year, there has been accusations by rights groups of atrocities by the warring parties. Many Tigrayans have reported being targeted for their ethnicity, raising concerns of ethnic cleansing and genocide. At least 2 million people have been displaced and 60,000 have fled to Sudan. A communications blackout continues, and humanitarian organizations say more than 5 million people are in need of aid. Ethiopians here, including Gebretensai, say they hope their work would now be over. But he knows as long as the conflict continues in Tigray, there'll be more bodies to bury on both sides of the border.
They marked the minute their city exploded. They read the names of the victims of one of the largest non-nuclear blasts in history. A year on, Beirut remembered the port explosion that destroyed so many lives. Outside the blast site, where thousands of tons of ammonium nitrate blew up, families of the victims, the survivors, gathered to demand justice and accountability.
Justice isn't just the demand of the families of the victims, but of all of the Lebanese people. We want to know who brought in the explosives to the port. We want to know who allowed for their unloading, who withdrew quantities of these explosives from the port, and where it was sent. We are here to launch an appeal to the countries of the world. We urge the international community to come and save Lebanon because the world cares, not our own officials. The world is beginning to listen to the pain and suffering of the Lebanese people, not our own officials.
It's been difficult making sense of their loss. More than 200 people were killed, among them children. So far, no one has been held responsible for unsafely storing ammonium nitrate with flammable materials at the port warehouse in the heart of the city for years. At the fire department, a kilometer from the port, the families of the first responders believe their loved ones were sent to their almost certain deaths. They weren't told of the dangers when called to put out the fire.
Our brothers, the hero firefighters that went to the port, had no fear, had nothing, but they wanted to save people, they wanted to help everyone, and this is what we're trying to do. We're trying to remove all these politicians, criminals who killed our brothers.
Attempts by the lead judge in the case, Tariq Bitar, to start the process of prosecuting some of those believed responsible has been delayed by political interference. But some have hope that change is coming.
I think today is the new start, or a start for a new Lebanon. We believe strongly that this is what we have been waiting for. Our next step is the elections in May 2022. We feel that for the first time, this is showing the sulta or the political class that people are no longer following them.
Following the ceremony, protesters headed to Parliament to demand parliamentary and other official immunities are lifted to allow formal questioning to happen.
This is not just about justice and accountability. Many Lebanese have been demanding a new state. They believe the political class has not just destroyed the city, but destroyed the economy and failed to build a state.
There is anger. The port explosion was one of the most traumatic experiences for a country with already a dark past. It may have exposed the decades of corruption and mismanagement, but Lebanon will not wake up to a new country. The battle for justice hasn't been won. The battle against accountability has, at least for the time being. Sana Khudr, Al Jazeera, Beirut.
We now get into your sports item. The Football Association of Zambia says if the senior national football team loses the CAF games, they will find themselves dropping out of the competition. Speaking to the press, FA's General Secretary Adrian KASHALA says the CHIPOLOPOLO have been dropping in their points. KASHALA has added that if this continues, he's afraid the team might drop out of the competition.
With about 12 countries participating in the forthcoming Confederation of African Football Tournaments, the Football Association of Zambia says the senior national team should not lose the CAF games to avoid finding themselves dropping out of the competition. Speaking to the press, FA's General Secretary Adrian KASHALA says the CHIPOLOPOLO have been dropping in their points, adding that if this continues, he's afraid the team might drop out of the competition.
Also serious engagements, I'm sure. I think in the last couple of years we've been dropping in our points, so we are afraid that if we do not do well at CAF this time around, we may find ourselves dropping the numbers of clubs to be part of CAF competitions. So to that.
In another development, soccer fans have given mixed emotions over the selection squad by the interim head coach based on Chambeshi.
It's just a provisional squad, like they'll select them and the incomings of the foreign based players they combine. But my take on this team is that I'm not in support of it because the same players are the same team which went to COSAFA and failed, and they have called them again for what? So that what? That's wasting taxpayers' money. Come on.
Fight for the second stage. I know that it's not easy. The terms of football is a game, but there are some challenges. But that challenge, for real, we are going to go up to the final.
It's just a bit different because Jamuntanamba, he has explained that man because he's going to make a good squad for the Zambia players or for the Zambia football.
The CAF 2021-2022 season will kick off on the 10th September 2021. Blessings Shakwila, Camnet News, Lusaka.
Well, that sports item brings us to the end of Camnet TV main news, but before we go, here are the headlines once again. Poor voter education by ETHIOPIA'S may result in many rejected ballots, charges FODEP. The Socialist Party cautions politicians against blackmailing the poor with prayer. UPND ponder on suing ETHIOPIA'S. In international news, dozens of bodies found in the river between Ethiopia's TIGRAY, Sudan. And in sports, KASHALA worries for CHIPOLOPOLO. Before we go, here's our Camnet verse of the day, and it's coming from the book of 135 verse 6, and it reads, I wait for Yahweh, I wait and put my hope in his word. I wait for the Lord more than watchmen wait for the morning. I am Precious Mzeya Sakaleji. Thank you for joining me. Have a pleasant viewing.